Hi traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. Okay, we are going to get started with the with our analysis, obviously. Let's see, and let's go ahead and do that. So let's start off with the euro dollar. Now, as we talked about yesterday, by the way, I had to take a little bit of a break. I slammed my shin into my desk on accident, and it hurt pretty bad. Actually, that was one of those that really hurt. Anyway, yesterday while we were here on the morning edge, I shorted the euro at 113.40, and it was literally 2 pips off the highs. Now, I did get short, and I've been short the euro. I haven't changed my position at all, but we haven't seen any follow through to the downside. So today, everything is exactly the same as yesterday. All right. Resistance comes in at 113.55, 113.60. Okay, it's right here. All right. So it's the same. It's the exact same setup as yesterday. Nothing changes. All right. Support is 132.80 or 112.80. Excuse me. All right. So resistance 113.55. Okay. That's the best place to be short for what we've got right now. All right, especially if the inflation data comes in weak today. Look for if the inflation data comes in weak, then look for a move up to 113.55 possibly. All right. Support is 112.80, and if we break that, then it starts our move, which I think is, and most of you already know this, so I'm gonna sound like a little bit like a broken record here. Most of you guys know that if we here, let's get rid of this for a second. Let's get rid of this for a second. Okay. If we break 113.80 or 112.80, excuse me, then we start this move. Okay, down towards channel support. Remember, it was a very, very minimal pullback. Wait, hold on. Sorry. It's like this. That's not drawn correctly. No, it is drawn correctly. No, it's not drawn correctly. We go from here to here. There we go. My bad. Sleeping at the wheel this morning. Okay, so remember we had this very shallow, less than a 38% pullback. So that takes us towards the 112 level. Remember 112, how important that was on the way down. All right, so just keep in mind that if we do have a very shallow pullback, okay, if we have a very shallow pullback, we're expected to have a pretty decent move back to the downside here. And if we break through that 112.80, that should take us down towards 112. All right? Okay. And frankly, I don't have a problem adding to the euro dollar here at 113.50. I don't even have a problem adding at the 112.80 if we break below it, and we get a close below that today. The reason why is because if you notice this sell-off here, this has also been a very shallow pullback. All right. So just a heads up. I'd prefer to short more euro here, but if I have to short more euro below 112.80, I will do that as well. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the that was euro dollar. Let's take a look at the cable. So the pound ripped higher despite the weak inflation data that we saw today. Overnight, the pound ripped up towards 145.25. I didn't think we'd make it all the way back up here, frankly, but I'm happy that we did because I'm short the euro pound. So obviously, being short the euro pound, it's good that we make rallies back up towards this 145.30. But you can see what significant resistance this is. We didn't stop despite the inflation data. Now, if the inflation data out of the U.S. is weak, we should break through this 145.30, or at least test it again, if the U.S. inflation data is weak. All right, but the cable, this is a really, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I have no idea what to do with the pound right now. I'm short the euro pound. That's my only pound exposure, but I really have no idea what to do with the cable right now. You know, we tried to break down over here. We got a false breakdown, you know, over the last 24 hours, rallied back to 145.30. This trend line is irrelevant right now. That doesn't matter at all. We're not even getting to the 618 retracement down here. I really don't know what to do with the cable. And I mean, I guess, here, let's get rid of this for a second. We don't need that. Well, I mean, we can leave that. I mean, like I said, I'm really not too sure what to do with the cable right now. I'm not sure. And I'm not trading it as a result. Okay. I mean, support is all the way down here. I mean, resistance is here. Support is 143.25. You know, what do you do with it? To me, it looks like nothing. Okay. All right, let's go over to the Swissy. So here's the Swissy. Swissy looks really strong. A break above 98 cents would be extremely bullish for the Swissy now. I mean, look at the way we're just holding up near these highs. I mean, really. And I know it's real close, but man, this is going to be big, you know. To me, it looks like the Swissy is going to break out. And I do not own the Swissy. But man, kind of wish I did, huh? All right. Oh, can I can I say something which I think is a very important development in the FX market? You guys might notice, something I've been noticing is, and you can see it through here. Let me grab the pen. You guys see what I'm drawing? This is the dollar. This is the S&P. Do you notice that we're starting to see that inverse relationship? You guys notice that? We're starting to see when stocks go down, the dollar advances. we haven't seen that relationship in quite some time, and it takes more than just one day to convince me that this relationship is starting to, come back and play. But if the market goes risk off, the dollar could really go bid. Just a little food for thought. Okay? All right. Back to our analysis. 98 cents, right up again. It's right there. And support, 97.40. Once again, not even getting close. That's going to be support. It's going to keep bulls engaged as long as we're above there. All right, let's take a look at the dollar yen. So the dollar yen is above 109.50. Man, and as Paul pointed out, we have GDP tonight out of Japan. He seems to think that it's going to be a pretty big deal. I tend not to focus a whole lot on Japanese data because it just in the past has not really moved the FX market. However, Paul seems to think that that a weak GDP print could really force the hand of the BOJ to act to do more quantitative easing. So if you do have any yen exposure, just keep that in mind for tonight. I do not have any yen exposure. As much as I want to be long the dollar yen right now, I'm not. And I probably will not have any yen exposure overnight. But you gotta watch this dollar yen. We're as long as we're above 108.25 we had yesterday. It looks like we're going to threaten this resistance here at 110.50. 110.50 is going to be big. It's a 786. It's also the channel top here. Okay. It comes in at 110.50. We're in a range, but we will go bullish if we break above this 110.50. I'm kind of bummed out if we do that, and I'm not long the dollar yen because I've been wanting to get long the dollar yen. I've been talking about it the last week, and I just have not been able to pull the trigger yet. I am concerned that if stocks come down, the dollar yen will come down. That's been my biggest concern. Okay. Nick said, thank God for that. Back to risk off and dollar strength. I don't know if that's the case. It's feeling that way. And Eric said the dollar safe haven, is that developing? Yeah, it seems to me it is, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's obviously an observation that we need to be keen to. All right, let's take a look at the Canadian. So I'm long the dollar Canadian at 129.11. 120. Wait, hold on. Let me tell you for sure. 129.11. I'm not long the dollar Canadian much lower than where we're at right now. Okay. I am expecting a move above 130. I don't know if we're going to make that move today, but if we have a move above 130, that will put in play the inverted head and shoulder pattern, right? The thing that I have to point out about the dollar Canadian, because you all are a bunch of idiots, that was a throwback to Paul and I's conversation earlier this morning. Paul, I love you, man. No, but the thing about the dollar Canadian, which you have to recognize, is that the dollar Canadian has not been going down as crude has been going up. I think crude has peaked. Okay, let me show you this chart again for those of you that have come in a little bit late. Here's crude. Here's your daily. Here's the channel top. Here's the 50% retracement. Here's the AB equals CD move. There's the shooting star. Guys, if crude closes on its lows today, like let's say we close at 47, 47.50, whatever, that's going to be a massive reversal on crude. And if that's the case, the dollar Canadian probably is threatening to turn bullish here. And if we get above 130, it will be bullish. Okay, 130 is major resistance. It feels very buoyant. Paul and I were talking about the beach ball underwater effect. Okay, it's like a beach ball. You're trying to hold it underwater. You try to push it. You try to push it underwater. It's just not going. Eventually you get so tired, you let it go and it pops right out of the water. That's this beach ball right now. It's a beach ball. It's got the beach ball effect going. It does not want to go down. We pulled back to a 618 retracement. That happened while while I was sleeping overnight. Same with Paul. We hit 128.40, and we reversed aggressively. So any dip to 128.65 is probably going to be bought, but I might as well just write 128.40. We're going to threaten to turn bullish if we get above 130. Well, actually, we will flip it to bullish. All right, let's take a look at the Kiwi. Now, the Kiwi rallied overnight with the Aussie. Okay, the Rba Meeting Minutes came out. Feels like to a lot of traders / investors that the RBA will stay on hold, and as a result, the Aussie went higher, the Kiwi went higher, and the Kiwi just kind of ripped up, probably tripped up a bunch of stops here, and then we've been falling ever since. Right now, the issue that we have with the Kiwi is we made a false breakout to the upside. What looks to be a false breakout. The question is, will that lead to a reversal? Right. What we have to write down is resistance here at 68.40. I still think we're in a bearish trend. I still think we have this double top in play. I think that little break above those highs was just enough to stop out a bunch of traders. So now the key is, how do we react on a move back down to 67.60? Okay. So keep your eye on the Kiwi. I think the Kiwi is, possibly going to threaten a breakdown, especially if risk comes off and the dollar starts to strengthen and these commodities come under pressure. You look at gold, look at silver, look at copper. They all look horrible. I'll be back in a few minutes. When I come back, we'll do the Aussie and everything else. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys and gals, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I'm going to finish up with what we've got here. Let's go over to the Aussie. Okay. And let's see here. Okay, so obviously the Aussie had a really good night overnight with the RBA meeting minutes, which really suggests that the RBA is going to stay on hold. Now, obviously, that's at it's the policy meeting minutes too, so it's not necessarily fresh comments. And if you look at just the Chinese data that came out over the weekend, one might say, well, yeah, I hear what the RBA is saying, but if China continues to slow down, I don't know if the RBA is going to have much of a choice. Now, personally, I don't have any. I mean, my only Aussie exposure is the Aussie New Zealand long, which is doing fine. Even though I'm underwater a little bit, I'm not worried about it. I own it at 108.50, and I've had it now for the last week or so. The Aussie dollar itself is, hold on one second. The Aussie dollar itself, it looks to me that we could rally towards, 74 cents. I don't know if I would be a seller up there like I drew yesterday. I drew, we should have some resistance up there. I don't know if I'd actually be a seller up there. I'd rather, if I want to play the dollar on the long side, I'd rather play the dollar long through, buying the dollar Canadian, shorting the euro dollar, maybe shorting the Kiwi. I don't know if I'd really want to short the Aussie, but 74 cents should be resistance and support. It held, the 72.50. The 72.50 held like a champ, and that was the breakout point from over here, which you guys knew about yesterday. So really, how you decide to trade the Aussie from here is either be a buyer at 72.50 or a seller at 74. And then, while we're in between, I don't know if there's a whole lot to do, but that's the way I would approach it. And I don't know what to do with the Aussie right at this moment in time. It depends what the dollar does at this stage in the game. But I think there's better ways to play. Whoops, I'm sorry. We're in a bearish trend. I have to change that. We're in a bearish trend in the Aussie. But I'd rather let the dollar data, play out versus trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with the Aussie. And my hands are kind of, taking a hands-off approach with the Aussie at this moment. All right, let's take a look at the dollar. Okay, here's the dollar, and the dollar. We drew this possible flag pattern yesterday, right? You can extend that out, something like this. Oops. Now, if this is a flag pattern, okay, let's just take this over here. We're already trying to play out, this flag pattern, all right? That means support is going to be very critical here at night for any bulls. I mean, if you're a dollar bull, we have to stay above 94.35. Period. End of story. Okay. And a breakout would be above 94.85. That would be significant. We break above that, we are going to, basically turn bullish in the dollar, in my opinion, because we break above that, we're gonna make a run for this resistance up here. Which will be channel resistant. So the flag looks like it's trying to play, but again, a breakout above this 94.85, and that's going to open up the doors for a significant rally, in my view. All right. did I do a typo on the dollar? Oh, it is 90. I'm sorry, it's 94. It's 94. Wait, 94.35. That's it. Dyslexia setting in. All right, let's take a look at the peso. Now this has been amazing. The peso. I cannot explain to you guys what an amazing move this has been. The reason why it's so amazing to me is it's higher, not only with crude oil strong over the last, couple of weeks, but with stocks strong too. And this US dollar Mexican peso looks extremely capable of rallying at this point to this 1852 area. Now, I know I'd said in the past that, hey, I can't wait till we get to 1850 because I'm going to short it. I don't want to do that right now. This US dollar Mexican peso is rallying, and it's not even being complemented by weak stocks. So what happens if the equity markets do roll over? I mean, if the equity markets do roll over, I mean, we could end up trading up towards 19. Or maybe even higher than that. So just to reiterate, I am not shorting the US dollar Mexican peso right now. I'm just not going to do it. Because it's making a move higher without stocks moving down. And if stocks do move down, it could get downright ugly. Okay? All right. So 825 is the breakout point. That's holding. So I'm going to write down 825 as support. Oops. Support. Resistance is at 18.52. And this thing's turning bullish. Back in the direction of its longer-term trend. Man, it looks scary. I tell you, if I was short the peso, I would be pooping my pants. I would have to, put on some. I would put on a pair of Depends or something. I'd have to. All right, U.S. dollar Norwegian krona. Now this U.S. dollar Norwegian krona, it is holding up really well. Even with crude oil weak, or strengthening over just even the last 30 minutes or so, the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona is not backing off. Now 825 is still key resistance, but now support is here. It's critical as long as we hold above today's lows, which comes in at 813. Matter of fact, I'm considering, and I think I'm going to do it right now, I'm going to buy a little bit more US dollar Norwegian krona. I just did. As long as we stay above that, as long as we stay above this support right here, 813, looks like it's going to move higher. $8.25. This is major resistance here. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look at the Swedish krona. Now, this is one currency pair I wish I would have bought, and I just didn't. Wanted to buy a dip to 818, not this one. I wanted to buy a dip over here to 818. That's what I was hoping to do yesterday. You know what? This thing's just not backing away. All right. Any dip to 818. But if we break above this 827, we make a move above 827, that's going to be significant. So US dollar, Swedish krona. I'm going to take some questions as soon as I'm done here. Oops. 818, 827. It's a 50% retracement. We are bullish coming out of this the bottom end of its range, having that reversal from 2 weeks ago. It's still extremely bullish here. All right, let's go ahead and take some questions. Your bias chart is done. It is finished. All right, going back to the way back.